Sometimes you tell yourself that, okay, these are my dream set of wheels, and after this I'm done. That's what these are. So for those of you that have been following the S2000 build, you know that I've had the same set of Regas on my car for the last couple of years. Those, in my mind, was kind of like one of the ideal looks that I was going for. Just classic 5-spoke design, great, basically JDM wheel that's manufactured in Japan, forged, relatively lightweight, in kind of the spec that I like. I always tell people, personally, I feel like 18s on an S2000 from a performance standpoint, especially if you're stock body, doesn't necessarily really make sense. But I can't deny that it looks good. So I was pretty set on those were going to be kind of like my long-term wheel until I found something that fit that dream wheel criteria. And for those of you that know, these should be a relatively big giveaway in terms of what wheel I'm talking about. To give you a little bit more context, so if we start zooming in, you'll notice some Japanese writing, and that's probably the biggest giveaway. So without further ado, let's open these up to show you what they are. Don't mind the packaging. These kind of got a little bit beat up thanks to UPS getting them here. But so it's got a little protective cardboard piece. And here we go. So those of you that know, these are BBS Clearways for ASM, manufactured by BBS, and these are my ultimate S2000 wheels. Let me show you why. Ash, do you like the new wheels? Sorry, dog in the way. But let's try to get into some of these details. So you'll first notice ASM stamped right onto the actual wheel face itself. Clearways. S2000. Then our typical JWL stamping. And forged. But really, what better wheel for an S2000 than one that's actually stamped S2000? So the information on this wheel is a little bit limited, but my friend Peter Liu, you might know him as The Real Wheel Deal on YouTube and Instagram, he actually did kind of an in-depth video on the ASM Clearways themselves. So when he has that up, I will link that in the description, and also just one of these cards that pop up on the screen. But as far as I can tell, they made basically two different versions of these. The initial version, both in the same sizing, so 18 by 9.5. But the previous one was a +50 offset. Typically very conservative S2000 spec fitment, just requires some minor fender work, but no pulling. And these guys were kind of the latter run, and these are a same 18 by 9.5, but 45 offset. So those of you that remember, my Regas were the exact same spec, 18 by 9.5, 45, so I know exactly how it's going to fit. So fitment wise, we shouldn't have any issues. The difference here was that between the 45 and the 50, you'll notice there is a slight concavity to these wheels. So that is the main difference, and I think there might have been some slight structural changes too. But if we look at the wheels themselves, like on the spokes, there's cutting on the inside, just further like emphasizing that lighter weight. We have basically additional holes if you're running spacers. In my mind, these wheels, they only made them in this spec, or the +50 that I was talking about. So if you were stock body, people kind of consider that somewhat aggressive, but ASM does have wider front fenders and rear fender flares that you can get. So I believe if you were running those, you could run the wheels as is, but if you wanted that flush fitment, there are provisions to run a spacer. And this is in a beautiful kind of, I don't necessarily know what finish to call it, but almost like black chrome in my mind, but it's pretty cool because it is the same color all the way around, but depending on what angle you're looking at, like the outer rim looks different compared to some of the other surfaces. Sorry. But some of the other details that I haven't seen before, typically one of the common things you'll see is on the inner wheel flange, there'll be kind of grooves cut in to help, like, well, I think they call it tire knurling, to help seat the tire in place so it doesn't slip. But on this wheel, it's pretty tough to pick up on camera, but you'll actually notice this inner portion is gloss, this is matte, and there's kind of like a grippy texture, almost similar to like bed liner that you'll see on like trucks, but it's a grippier texture, so I believe that serves the same purpose to help keep the tire in place during hard cornering and on track duty. And then yeah, and pretty much on the back we have a pretty clean design, pretty minimal in terms of stickers or anything like that. We do have the specs stamped here, 18 by 9.5 45, and then that's pretty much it on this side. And you can see again where we actually have a little bit of cutting for where your like studs would go through, and then on those spacer holes we do have more cutting as well too. So a lot of emphasis on lightweight. I believe weight wise these are pretty similar to the Regas that I had. I'm not exactly sure, but that's something that I can maybe put into a little subtitle or something like that as an additional thing. So we do get these wheels, and there's a few other things that you get. So BBS centering rings, these are specific to the S2000. So you noticed one is thinner and one is thicker because the S2000 has different hub rings, front and back. And the other cool thing that they did with these wheels, let me just break out one of these guys if I can with a single hand. So these are OEM center caps for the Honda NSX Type S, which ran BBS wheels. We got something similar in North America with the Zanardi edition. But yeah, so this finish actually matches pretty close to what is on here. Obviously this is more like, I more call it, I don't know if this is paint or anodized, but it kind of gives away that anodized look, and this is more like an actual paint finish. But yeah, that centered up. Obviously it's not in, but it'll give it a nice OEM look, which I'm pretty excited for. And this is the last thing that I wanted to show. Obviously we have BBS valve stems as well too, just in a nice silver finish. But yeah, I am stoked to see these on the S2000. I can't believe I actually got a set of these. For me, kind of when I actually found out about the ASM Clearways by BBS, I was kind of looking, and I think it was probably about a year prior ASM had discontinued these wheels. So I was kind of bummed out that, oh no, I'm probably never going to find another set of these. As far as I know, in Canada there was really only one other set that was brought in, and that was in Ontario. And I think the guy just basically got out of the car scene entirely. I think his Instagram handle was like AP2 Kevin or something like that, or Kev. But it was a black S2000, full ASM catalog on that car. Mine isn't there. Maybe one day it will be. But he had these wheels, and I've always loved them. Know a few guys on Instagram that also have them too. Strangely, they're all new Formula Red. So, but yeah, really stoked to see these on the car. I'm getting tires mounted today. Our weather's a little bit still wonky in Calgary, so I don't know if I'm going to be mounting them onto the car themselves. But yeah, super stoked. Hope you guys are pretty happy with this new wheel as well too. Just again, I'm super excited to see these on the S2000 and literally have a set of like the final end game goal dream wheels for the S2000. But like always, thank you very much for watching. Just a little short video and an overview on my new ASM Clearways, and catch you in the next S2000 or NSX video. Thanks for watching.